A popular expression that you'll hear from champions, especially if they've had um, a less than successful season, is that they've gone back to the basics during the off season. And the basics really are basic. They generally are four elements, which are the grip, the posture or stance, as they call it, alignment, and ball position. Now, it sounds like they're all different and have to be approached singularly, but in fact, interestingly, they're all rather connected. So, talking about alignment, you see a lot of people nowadays with those sticks on the ground, and that rather implies, because it is traditional, that it's the line across the toes that indicates where you're aimed. Now, if you look back 100 years in the history of the game, you had people like Harry Varden who were advocating having the stance in what is called an open position, where the left foot is drawn substantially away from the line to the target. And he was reputedly one of the straightest hitters in the world. He is thought to have occasionally hit the ball on the second round of the day out of the divot that he'd left on the first round. So alignment isn't properly devised regarding the feet. It's much more to do with the shoulders. These are the swinging components, the shoulder yoke, the arms, and the club. And they are the elements that really aim you. Now, they're, as I mentioned earlier, interrelated with the others, and here's why. If we agree that the line across the shoulders is to be aimed at the target, and I certainly can avow that I've been around many champion golfers who could put their feet in all sorts of strange positions, like Harry Varden, although I didn't know him, he's much older, and hit the ball exactly where they're aimed because this was correct. The ball position is a function, therefore, also of the shoulders. Now, I say that because when you have a longer club in your hand, like a driver, the longest club in the bag, it's generally agreed that not only is the ball farther from the feet, but it's also much farther left than any other club. And so, if you've got the line across the toes pointing at the target, well done. But when you put the club over by the ball and have the ball opposite the left foot, unwittingly you're opening, as they call it, the shoulders, and you don't see it. They're not in the field of view. So, in fact, the ball is actually farther back in the stance than you think from looking at your feet. And that means that it's a down blow when it hits the ball, not to mention the fact that it's traveling to the left. Those are deadly with a driver. A down blow will pop the ball up or fail to get lift. And of course, hitting to the left would mean, well, I'd better correct, and that's where the slice comes from. So how that relates to the grip is worth a quick reminder about how I approach this when I'm teaching people. I have them just hang their hands to their sides and say, just hold the club down by your leg with your gloved hand, your left hand, and make sure that the hand is in the same shape, a mirror image of the right hand, which is usually with the thumbs turned in. Now, I say that because very often people reach up and put their left hand on the golf club, and as they do it, they turn the hand and arm in this direction. It makes what they call a weak grip. Now, that doesn't mean that it's gripping lightly. It means that it's turned to the left, the thumb's on top. But even more destructively, I suspect, the elbow is low and tucked around to the side with the elbow looking at the hip. And the shoulder is not only down lower than it should be, but also probably trending toward looking to the left, something you've already heard me say is unwittingly an error. And so if you reach down and pick up the club from here, you'll have what they call a stronger grip. Doesn't mean that it's squeezing more, it just means that it's turned to the right, and your thumb will be right of center. Very importantly, it's worth watching that the arm is biased, which means a term I use where the elbow is looking out at the target. And that tends to raise the left shoulder, which it should be. Golf's not symmetrical, but also bring it forward. And particularly with the shorter clubs in the bag, just the act of putting the club behind the ball, where the ball, of course, is nearer the feet and farther back in the stance, that brings the left shoulder, again, out of the field of view, but it does, brings it forward and up slightly. And that's why we tend probably to slice less with the shorter clubs. Not the only reason, but it certainly is a factor. And all of this is separate from the toes. So we've got alignment being a function not of the feet but of the shoulders. We've got the grip being associated with that, and ball position also being associated with it. The only one that's left that they love to talk about is stance or posture. And of course, I suspect that consistency is the biggest benefit in posture, which is to simply say that whatever you do when you're just standing talking, you tip and crouch and keep it the same. Constancy is what we're after because there are so many variables in golf.